My dearest Fani, I'm writing to you from the backline bunker basement in the White House to remind you that orange mad bad. Also, it appears your fornication has not gone unnoticed. Fornication. That word should bring new meaning to all of us, considering that we are all f***ed in this next election if you do not put Trump in jail. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go start a war with Texas because I'm a little short on votes right now. Signed, your biggest Fani. Love, Joe. Go get him.
Ladies and gentlemen, we may have heads on platters, metaphorically, when it comes to the prosecution of Donald Trump in Georgia. There were so many big news drops this morning, it's actually hard to keep up with them. There are 3 corresponding stories when it comes to Big Fani Willis in Georgia, and we have actually moved beyond the funny puns. Now we are looking at actual obstruction of justice from Fani Willis's office, ladies and gentlemen. The House Judiciary actually tweeting about it this morning. You can't make it up, baby. You cannot make it up how corrupt Fani Willis's office is. And that comes directly in line with a member of the squad, Cori Bush, who's now being investigated by the DOJ. And we have all of it for you here in our A block. Let's start with Fani Willis, okay? Because they're the same crimes, okay? Fani Willis using taxpayer money to pay Loverboy is the same thing that Cori Bush, squad member, is being investigated by Joe Biden's DOJ for doing with her Loverboy security staffer. It's amazing, and it is particularly juicy. Georgia Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones announces members of new investigatory committee looking into Fani Willis. Oh, baby. The backlash is here. Now, finally, the Georgia government is looking into the way that Fani Willis is spending her money. Ladies and gentlemen, there was a whistleblower in Fani Willis's office. This audio is brand new as of this morning. Fani Willis fired a whistleblower after being warned that the top aide wanted to misuse federal funds. Fani Willis is, of course, getting paid a massive amount of money to go after Donald Trump in court, and that money is coming from the feds. Fani Willis coordinated with the Biden White House, coordinated with the January 6th committee, and now Fani Willis is firing people who are trying to blow the whistle on her. Well, that's obstruction of justice. This is going to get into the criminal territory very, very soon. Now, let's first off play you the actual warning here. Something very important to pay attention to in this audio is that the person is saying that we're not able to use this money for MacBooks and swag and travel. You can't just do that. This is a very specific grant to go after Donald Trump. The federal government is funding you going after Donald Trump in this election case. So this whistleblower is straight up saying they're stealing the money. They're embezzling the taxpayer cash for themselves. And this is actually happening in 2 different federal cases. When does it become a federal case? Fani Willis is in big trouble. We want to make a bunch of puns here, right? About how Fani Willis maybe having to do hard time, right? But quite literally, Big Fani is in big trouble. Watch.
If you had to give me a sentence, what is the sentence theme?
Once I told him about his, respectfully and in an email, about his lack of leadership and the fact that he wanted to do things with grants that were impossible. And I kept telling him, we can't do that, and questioning stuff. He would take me off projects, tell people I wasn't doing what I was supposed to because I questioned him. Because I understood. I helped write that grant. I knew what was in that grant. He told everybody in front of Crystal, Deontay, everybody, we're going to get MacBooks, we're going to do that, we're going to get swag, we're going to use it for travel. I said, you cannot do that. It's a very, very specific grant. Took me off. I questioned Junior DA. There's kids in there from out of the county, all this. Took me off Junior DA. I did not want to do it. He made it look as if I wasn't doing what I needed to do because I questioned him. Because I knew for a fact Mr. Cuffey respectfully did not know what he was doing, period.
So I respect that is your assessment. It was clear to me that you and Mr. Cuffey were not getting along. And I'm not saying that your assessment is wrong. I want you to really listen to the words I'm saying.
So wait a second. That lady was fired for blowing the whistle on Fani Willis misusing federal funds. These are the same federal funds, by the way, that were used to go on lavish vacations with Loverboy. Just a reminder, Fani Willis wants to tell you from the pulpit of a church how moral she is, yet she is here breaking up a marriage. This guy's married. She's using the federal funds to go on cruise ships and to Napa Valley with this guy while he's married. And yet Fani Willis stands there on a pulpit and doesn't turn into a pillar of salt. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a pillar of salt, by the way, in the studio. We officially have our Salt That Lid massive salt shaker. We're working on it. Okay, we're working on it. It's a Salt. It's a prototype. It's a prototype. We're gonna get it down. Okay, and we have plenty of libs to salt later on in the show. We kicked a little bit of a hornet's nest, and we're gonna explain. But, ladies and gentlemen, right now, Fani Willis, ooh, baby. She's the one trying to tell you that she deserves all of your faith and credit because she's a black woman, and black women can't be perfect, but that she is on the road that Christ has laid down for her. Now, I'm not a theologian, not gonna talk about like her personal relationship with Jesus Christ. I have my own simple Christian relationship with Jesus Christ. But something that you shouldn't do is use that relationship as a pivoting point to say that immoral things you're doing are moral. That's not how the gospel works. Gospel isn't silly putty that you like pat around your immoral activity and going out with a married man and breaking up his marriage and using taxpayer dollars that were meant to be used on the prosecution of Trump, however evil that happens to be, but either way, being misspent. So you can go on cruise ship trips with Loverboy? Baby. That's not the way the gospel works. Speaking here as a simple Christian. Here we go. Fani Willis axed employee who blew whistle on misuse of federal funds. Ooh, man. Embattled Georgia DA has a pattern of ethical violations and abuse of power. Misusing funds, whistleblower says. Now, here's something very important about this article. There are recordings. What's that about? So her employees know that there are recordings of her committing these crimes. She's doing crimes and people are taping her. How bad is this going to get for Fani? This ain't good. Okay? This isn't like a reporter heard through a source who heard through a source who heard at a bar. This is, we have the hard evidence of Fani Willis punishing a whistleblower for talking about the misuse of federal funds. Fani Willis may have fired the employee who warned her about mishandling federal funds. She didn't deny her allegations. Less than a year into her tenure as Fulton County District Attorney in 2021, Willis met with Amanda Timpson, an employee with the District's Attorney Office responsible for giving nonviolent juvenile offenders alternatives in the judicial system, during which their conversation was recorded and reviewed by the Washington Free Beacon. Okay, let's pay attention here. People inside of Fani Willis's office are recording Fani Willis's activities. Uh-oh. Timpson claimed that she had been demoted after attempting to stop the Willis campaign aide from misusing federal grant money. According to Timpson, the aide planned to use part of a $500,000 federal grant earmarked to the creation of the Center of Youth Empowerment to pay for swag, computers, and their own travel. Ooh, baby. He wanted to do things the grant were impossible, and I kept telling him, like, we can't do that. So this is systemic. This is systemic. This is very much not good. Just at time, literally at time of recording, the House Judiciary Committee tweeted this article. Fani Willis is now asking for $600,000 in money for new cars. Amid allegations that she mismanaged taxpayer funds, Fani Willis requests $600,000 for new vehicles. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis wants to treat her staff to brand new taxpayer-funded cars. She rides out the allegations that she misappropriated county funds to enrich her lover. Willis on Wednesday requested $600,000 from the Fulton County Board of Commissioners to purchase up to 16 pursuit and special service vehicles for law enforcement and administration purposes. What is this? This is Fani Willis wanting to buy herself a motorcade. Now, we're going to cover what was happening with Congresswoman Cori Bush, a vaunted member of the squad, in just a second, but it's the same thing. These people who defund the police, who create hell on earth, third world conditions for their voters and the people that they're supposed to protect, these people are the ones with the security, the guns, the staffing 24/7 in the armored vehicles. Same as Fani Willis, same as Cori Bush. These stories are happening in parallel, and it's hysterical. It's really funny and ironic, and it's the most entertaining outcome. But ladies and gentlemen, that's not the only thing that happened. Now we know that Fani Willis's lover boy skipped out on his court date. Lover boy apparently did not show up for his scheduled court date yesterday. The lead prosecutor in the Georgia election interference case against Trump dodged a hearing where he likely would have had to testify about allegations of impropriety with the Fulton County DA Fani Willis. This from Axios. What right-wing conspiracy site are you reading? Axios. So Loverboy couldn't face the music. Lead prosecutor in Georgia's 2020 election interference case, former President Trump dodged a hearing Wednesday where he likely would have had to testify about his relationship. Unsubstantiated allegations, blah, 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 jeopardized a high-profile case. Wade and Willis may have all of their charges tossed because of the impropriety. The hearing in Wade's divorce case was canceled after he reached a last-minute settlement with his estranged wife, multiple outlets reported. The arrangement staved off his testimony on the allegations with Willis for now. The Republican political operation and co-defendant in the Georgia case made first public accusations of an improper relationship and alleged financial misconduct between Wade and Willis in a filing in January. After Roman's filing, Wade's estranged wife divulged financial statements and a motion on the couple's divorce proceedings, showing that they took 2 airline trips to Miami and San Francisco with Wade during the election probe, the Washington Post reported. Trump's legal team last week cited the allegations in a request to the judge. So this is unraveling very quickly. Trust me when I say this. A guy who is like a greaseball, slip and fall, ambulance chaser, lawyer, the guy who like puts his face on the benches where like the bums piss themselves overnight. That's the Nathan Wade. We'll go through a little bit of his pedigree here in a second. But like this kind of guy, he doesn't settle. All right? These guys don't settle cases with their ex-wives. He's suddenly settled in an emergency filing. That means we're over the target. like any time that they behave in a manner that is like in panic and admits to wrongdoing, that means they felt the pressure. And that means that we're winning. So it looks like they reached a last-minute settlement. The arrangement staved off his testimony for now. They'll still have to testify about this when they bring their allegations, and there's a judge that is now demanding that Fani Willis answer a ton of questions about this. Whew, baby, it is heating up. This is going to be very, very interesting. The whistleblower angle and the firing of the whistleblower is very interesting because there are actually laws that protect whistleblowers in all 50 states and on a federal level. Fani Willis getting federal money would be in violation of those federal statutes. So that's quite a compelling case. Fani Willis may well be under then federal investigation for punishing a whistleblower that was going to expose her misuse of federal funds. Now, those funds didn't happen to be for the Trump case. This was before the Trump case. I want to make that very clear. But nonetheless, this shows, of course, a pattern for Big Fani. And the residents are now being totally and completely blackpilled as to what their representation legally is up to. Residents are beginning to snap and are beginning to then question Fani Willis and her management of this entire system. Now, as we've shown you, the residents in Fulton County got out of their homes and cheered for Donald Trump. Okay? Like when Donald Trump got the famous mugshot that sits behind me in the studio, the residents left their homes and cheered for him in the street. So these are the kind of people that Fani Willis is dealing with. Now those people are going to public hearings and saying that the only way to get something done is to date Fani Willis in the courtroom. Check this out.
It's over. Well, I want to let you know that Derek Blasingame, I'm done with Fulton County fumbling our elections. I'm done with the gross mismanagement of our taxpayer dollars by the Fulton County Democrats on this body. I'm disgusted at the information that is coming out of the district attorney's office as a taxpayer. I am done with most of your silence at the DA's apparent love affair with the special prosecutor and gross mismanagement of taxpayers' dollars to pursue what appears to be a frivolous lawsuit based off of partisan politics. Apparently, guys like me need to court Fulton County female executives if we want a free ride at all paid expense. Apparently, we need to pursue Natalie Hall and Fani Willis, or maybe the executives in other departments, if we want a full ride and full pay. The DA appears to be trying to protect past elections, but upon information and belief, she's trying to interfere with future elections by trying to convict a candidate before the general election. I'm requesting a financial audit to be done by the county auditor of the district attorney's office immediately.
So this guy is saying that Fani Willis is rigging an election. This resident of Fani Willis, this voter, is saying that Fani Willis, the only way to actually get access to Fani Willis would be to date her. Just like the attorney is doing on this Trump case. And it's worth actually reminding everyone who this person is. This man, his name's Nathan Wade. He is generously referred to as Loverboy. And Loverboy, and this is not a joke. I mean, I guess it is kind of a joke. It's kind of, all of it's like quite hysterical how stupid these people are. This guy's billing Big Fani for his work past midnight. So what exactly is Loverboy billing Big Fani for? I'll let you fill in the blank. We can't say it on the show because we're trying to do a family-friendly show. But ladies and gentlemen, let's just say Big Fani is getting her money's worth. Watch.
Fani Willis's Loverboy, Nathan Wade, might be the hardest working lawyer in America. Nathan allegedly billed taxpayers for 24 hours of work on the Trump Georgia case in a single day. That means Nathan was working all day and all night on Fani's case. What would Loverboy be working on past midnight? He wouldn't be billing Fani. No, he couldn't be. I'm sure he was just burning the midnight oil at the office. Loverboy's billed nearly $700,000. Is he making more than the lawyers who aren't sleeping with Fani? Is he making more because he's more qualified than they are? Or is the lover just working harder?
Okay, we can't. Now we cannot. Now we can no longer help ourselves. We're going to wade into some of the puns here. Will Big Fani get pounded in court? Will she have to do hard time? Will she face the wood of the gavel? Only time will tell. But Jesse Waters, it is great credit to him and his team for pulling Loverboy's record. Now, they'll write books about the case against Donald Trump. They'll write all of the books they possibly can. I mean, this is obviously a historic case. And so you'd assume that you'd want a lawyer that has some type of background in criminal law. I know we've covered this before, but it's worth repeating. If you need a heart transplant, you go to a heart surgeon. There are a lot of different kind of doctors out there, a lot of different kind of lawyers out there. Lawyers have specialties, doctors have specialties, mechanics have specialties, a lot of people have specialties. We have a specialty, right? And so you wouldn't hire a guy whose only pedigree is changing names and then suing people in small claims court over stolen DJ equipment to prosecute Donald Trump, unless there was something else going on. Here's Loverboy's pedigree. Just a reminder, you're paying this guy nearly $1 million to go after Donald Trump and keep him off the ballot. Watch.
God, wasn't it them that attacked this lawyer of impeccable credentials? Is it that some will never see a black man as qualified, no matter his achievements? What more can one achieve?
Well, the race card isn't going to get you out of this one, Fani. We found Loverboy's resume. Impeccable? Not a word I'd use to describe Nathan Wade's credentials. Some of his highest profile cases involve car accidents. Loverboy represented a lady who was rear-ended by a beer truck. He tried getting her $300,000 for emotional and physical damages, but the case was dismissed. Loverboy's a piranha in small claims court. He represented an electronics store who claimed the customer owed him $11,000 for some speakers. Wade won that one. And his biggest court victory of all time? Nathan Wade helped 2 people get their names changed.
It's Nathan Wade who will probably need to get his name changed after all of this. Check out some of these like snap headlines. Fulton County prosecutor Fani Willis' romantic partner met with Biden White House twice before charging Trump. Well, this looks like collusion. Check this out. We actually have the record of it. We'll always show you the evidence and the data. Here is the record of it. Boom! Straight from the White House visitor logs. Strangely, this guy, who is an ambulance-chasing slip and fall, bum-piss bench lawyer, this guy is getting long meetings with the White House counsel. I mean, look at the size of this. It's crazy. This guy is billing 24 hours straight for these visits with the White House. And then, of course, Fani Willis was at the White House less than a week after the Georgia grand jury released their report recommending charges against Trump. What a coincidence. Georgia grand jury probe of Trump bid to overturn vote recommended charges. Fani Willis runs to the White House as soon as she gets her grand jury. It's all like, quite frankly, embarrassing. The collusion and the coordination, which I suppose is like going to be a theme of the show. It's not a crime to notice this stuff. Like being a noticer isn't a crime. It's actually a really good thing. It sort of shows the people who are doing the coordinating that we are paying attention. They really don't want that. They want us all to act like we're living in a Hallmark movie. It's not. It's actually kind of terrifying. Who are the people, by the way, that Fani Willis used in order to get the conviction of Donald Trump? We don't talk about this enough, but the foreperson that Fani Willis used to convict Donald Trump is which? Yes, I know. There are a lot of pejoratives being flung around right now. And so we're going to try our hardest to keep it centered. She's a witch. This isn't a Monty Python episode. She's a witch. She says so, she brags about it, and she casts spells. And so I'll let you be the judge of her mental state here in some of these news clips that they did before her publicist decided to yank her off TV. Here you go. This is the lady in charge of convicting Trump.
Did you personally want to hear from the former president?
I wanted to hear from the former president, but honestly, I kind of wanted to subpoena the former president because I got to swear everybody in. And so I thought it'd be really cool to get 60 seconds with President Trump of me looking at him and being like, do you solemnly swear? And me getting to swear him in. I kind of just thought that would be an awesome moment.
It's like what happens when the theater kids take over politics. We've been talking about this. CNN couldn't get her off camera fast enough last night. Sorry, not last night, but when she was doing her interview rounds, they couldn't get Emily Coors, which is this person's name, off camera fast enough because her eyes were literally rolling in the back of her head like the poltergeist, like the exorcist. Here's your trigger warning. If you are allergic to witches, here you go.
Would you say when it comes to, there are indictments recommended, of course. Is it more than 12 people? Is it more than 20 people?
I think if you look at the page numbers of the report, there's about 6 pages in the middle that got cut out. Allow for spacing. It's not a short list.
Not a short list. More, I mean, when it comes to...
The dramatic zoom. I like it, Rolls Royce. Look at, okay. This is the person that Fani Willis tapped to indict Trump. This is the character of Fani Willis. Inside Trump grand jury, 4 persons bonkers Pinterest account, which promotes witchcraft. This from the New York Post. Benny, don't be mean. Don't be mean. How are you so mean to these people? Okay, fine. Let's let them speak for themselves. Here are her posts about Wicca, witchcraft, and paganism. This is directly from Emily Coors' Pinterest account. Here's Emily Coors casting a pentagram. This is the symbol of the Satanic Church. There it is, the pentagram, once again. Basic altar layout. Well, I mean, am I allowed to notice these things? Or is our crime is noticing? Got it. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is such a disaster. We're really excited that it is spiraling out of control. And this is one that we've really sunk our teeth into. Because I believe on a strategic level that we have a chance to actually change the game down here. They're feeling the pressure. Loverboy is settling out of court with his ex-wife to try and keep all this under wraps. That means we're over the target. It's going to be a theme of the show today, is being strategic with our energy and where we're spending it, okay? Somebody who should be protecting their future but isn't is a member of the squad who is now under federal investigation, according to the DOJ, named Cori Bush. I don't know if there's anybody watching from the Midwest. If you're watching from Missouri, shout yourself out in the comment section. Cori Bush represents this part of St. Louis that looks far more like a city that had just been bombed by the Allies in World War II, like carpet bombed. Looks like Dresden. You ever drive through St. Louis? You ever drive through Cori Bush's, what she represents? I mean, it's truly like these places should just be declared disaster zones. And like should have the federal government should go through and like maybe like just bulldoze everything and try and rebuild eventually, because they've just they truly are like third world countries that exist inside of this country. The city of Baltimore is very similar to this. You drive through Baltimore, it's just row after row after row of like bombed out empty shell houses, and the same thing here with St. Louis. Now I say this obviously because I've gone to this district and I was repulsed by it, but it actually makes sense. The way a representative democracy works is you're going to send people who represent this broke-ass district to Congress, and, well, maybe they're not sending their best, okay? Maybe they're not sending their best. Cori Bush blames right-wing organizations for DOJ investigation that she needed $750,000 in security details to deal with relentless threats. Now, this is like so weird. We talk a lot about the Old Testament here, and we talk a lot about God's justice and how hilarious it is and how entertaining it is at times, right? Various kings like Nebuchadnezzar, like being forced to get on all fours and crawl and eat grass like an animal. I find it particularly interesting because $750,000 is exactly what Loverboy has billed Fani Willis. Where did all that money go? To Cori Bush's Loverboy. It's the same story. Democrats claim she hired husband for his experience, denies misusing funds. So, okay, this is a hilarious story because Cori Bush herself is inadvertently hilarious. Now, we have here Cori Bush flashback. Is this her talking about BLM? Yeah, okay. When this story first came out, she went on TV, always a bad thing to do. A story showing that she was using hundreds of thousands of dollars, went on TV and tried to defend it. She was paying her boyfriend at the time. This guy has since married Cori Bush, and, thoughts and prayers for this man. But she went on TV and defended it in such a hilariously low information way that it just makes you chuckle. It's just worth like kind of sitting back and laughing. Here's Cori Bush, when this bombshell first dropped, going on and saying, I'm going to spend as much money as I possibly can on my security. And also, we need to defund the police. It's too good. It's not AI, I promise you. We didn't make this up. Watch.
The thing, I won't let them get that off. You can't get that off. I'm going to make sure I have security because I know I have had attempts on my life and I have too much work to do. There are too many people that need help right now for me to allow that. So if I end up spending $200,000, if I spend $10 more on it, you know what? I get to be here to do the work. So suck it up, and defunding the police has to happen. We need to defund the police and put that money into social safety nets.
It's so good. These people, if they are something, they're not students of history. When Stalin banned private property ownership under the Soviet regime, Stalin made sure that he himself owned multiple lavish palaces in every province of the Soviet Union. He was the largest landowner in the Soviet Union, private landowner. You weren't allowed to go into Stalin's palace. So he banned private ownership of property for everyone else but himself. It is the communist tactic to do these things, And so it is also the communist tactic, of course, to blame your political enemy when you've been caught dead to rights. Another theme of the show, which we'll get to in just a second. So Cori Bush, who says, I will spend tens of hundreds of thousands of bajillion, quadrillion dollars on my security detail, which what she's saying here is I'm going to launder money to my husband, who will then spend it on me. This is the racket here. It's actually like a really cute miniature version of the Biden crime family. I will bill the taxpayers and then lavish my family with cash, and that kicks it back to me. Bob Menendez, Hunter Biden, Cori Bush, Fani Willis. Are you starting to see a trend? So, Cori Bush has followed the Marxist tactic of then scapegoating for her federal crimes here, you and me. She's blaming us for this, which again is textbook. It's incredible. Watch.
In recent months, right-wing organizations have lodged baseless complaints against me, peddling notions that I have misused campaign funds to pay for personal security services. That simply is not true. I have complied with all applicable laws and House rules and will continue to prioritize the rules that govern us as federal elected officials. In particular, the nature of these allegations have been around my husband's role on the campaign. In accordance with all applicable rules, I retained my husband as part of my security team to provide security services because he has had extensive experience in this area and is able to provide the necessary services at or below fair market rate. These frivolous complaints have resulted in a number of investigations, some of which are still ongoing. The Federal Election Commission and the House Committee on Ethics are currently reviewing the matter, as is the Department of Justice.
The Department of Justice on Monday subpoenaed the House Sergeant at Arms for records related to the misuse of funds for private security. When confronted by the media Monday night, Bush insisted that she wasn't the subject of the investigation and scolded reporters. So she lied. This is, of course, no shock. Cori Bush, not the brightest bulb. The investigation follows an ethics watchdog demanding and investigating into the $62,000 she paid her now husband, Courtney Merritt's, from her campaign funds. So this is the same scam. The Biden scam, the Fani Willis scam, Bob Menendez, it's the same scam. Now, there are two things that I wish to add to this, which I think is, we might actually try and defend Cori Bush here. Cori Bush may be the subject of the regime wishing to get some revenge for recent comments. Cori Bush was asked over the past year whether she wants Joe Biden to run for president. Now, Cori Bush isn't particularly powerful, but she's part of the squad, and she's seen as like one of these younger, intersectionally diverse feminist leaders in Congress, okay? Call it what you will. She's being used by the Democratic machine in order to push certain agendas. And so she has some power on those merits. Those intersectionality merits, if you wish to call them that. And so when Cori Bush does an interview and is asked, do you want Joe Biden to run for president? And this is the answer. Tell me that this isn't noticed by Biden's DOJ. And they're not saying, oh, we have a way to get you in line here, lady. Watch.
Do you want to see Joe Biden run for a second term? She's going to go.
Yeah,
That's an easy question. It's not going to take long. Do you want to see Joe Biden run?
I don't want to answer that question because I don't want to answer that question.
Okay.
I mean, he's the president and he has the right to run for a second term. Absolutely. I'd rather you not do that answer.
You got like 2 minutes to be in the car.
Yeah, I know. I got to get to the.
Well, thanks very much.
The other thing. Okay.
Appreciate it.
Here's the other thing that we wish to say when it comes to Cori Bush. She's not actually good at this. She's not good at the whole numbers game. She was asked about marginal tax rates during a live Fox hit, and it didn't go great. So in her defense, And as somebody who's not great at numbers myself, I have an accountant, I have a CPA, make sure that everything's in line with my taxes. You don't want me doing your taxes, okay? It's good to know your strengths and weaknesses, let's just say, right? Here's Cori Bush being asked about marginal tax rates in what is absolutely one of the cringiest clips that exist on the internet. This is our cringe alert for the day. Watch Cori Bush try and do some taxes.
Percentage. So you're saying that you're saying that they're paying their fair share is what you're saying?
No, I'm asking what percentage is a fair share?
Their fair share, the same, if a third of my money is going to taxes, then I think a third of their money should be going to taxes. It does. Well, it does.
I'm trying to understand because you realize the effective tax rate on the poor is less than it is on the rich, right?
Okay, so first of all, I'm not the poor. I'm very close to that line, but I'm not the poor.
Okay, so the effective tax rate on the middle class is less than it is on the rich, correct? What fair share would you like to?
Never a great sign, right? Never a great sign. The rich pay over 50% of the taxable by the rich. I mean, the top 1% pay more than 50% of the actual revenue to the federal government every single year. The rest of that is made up by the middle class. And I will certainly argue that that money is atrociously misused. But that is where the money comes from. It does not actually come from the poor. And this has always been the psyop about the income tax. The whole reason they were able to get an income tax was because the government lied to people last century and said it will just be for the rich. But in fact, the vast majority of the taxable burden is always shoveled off to the middle class. The rich maybe should pay more in taxes, but the rich have great accountants, offshore accounts, and are smart enough to not pay taxes, to figure out legal ways to not pay taxes. And some people, illegal ways to not pay taxes. Look at Sam Bankman-Fried. But just like Sam Bankman-Fried, you can't get a get-out-of-jail-free card if you're not if you don't have sufficient fealty to the regime. And that is precisely what's happening with Cori Bush, I think. I think that Cori Bush has been super critical of Joe Biden, the regime and his policies, and that they are now committing a vengeance against her because of that. Cori Bush did not toe the line, and now she's seeing what happens. That's what I personally believe.